Greetings, dear learners. Welcome to this session where we will delve into a crucial aspect of the Indian economy, the comparative analysis of rural versus urban markets. By the end of this lecture, you will be equipped to understand the fundamental differences between these markets, the factors influencing consumer behavior within them, the unique challenges and opportunities they present, and the importance of crafting tailored strategies for each. This video lecture will be in two parts for your convenience and better understanding. Let us begin by outlining our learning objectives for this session. After engaging with this lecture, you will be able to identify the key fundamental differences that distinguish rural and urban markets in India, analyze the impact of socio-cultural, infrastructural and economic factors on how consumers behave in these distinct settings, recognize the unique challenges associated with marketing, reaching audiences through media and distributing products in rural areas. Compare the nature of consumer decision making and how products are used in rural versus urban contexts. Appreciate the significance of brand perception, value sensitivity and loyalty among rural consumers. A common idea dominating amongst few industry experts is that rural and urban markets in India are gradually becoming similar, primarily due to increasing income levels and rising aspirations in rural areas. While it is true that these are important forces shaping the consumer landscape, it is essential to understand that the differences between these markets go far beyond just income. The entire context encompassing lifestyle, social and cultural views and a multitude of other aspects continues to significantly differentiate how urban consumers behave compared to their rural counterparts. Therefore, the attitudes and behaviors of rural consumers are likely to remain distinct for a considerable time, emphasizing the need for carefully designed and specific approaches to effectively engage with each market. Let us now explore the specific parameters that highlight the differences between urban and rural markets. Our first key differentiator is infrastructure. The availability and quality of infrastructure are major distinguishing factors. Think about it. Infrastructure includes everything from transportation networks like roads and railways to connectivity like internet and mobile networks, essential utilities like power supply and water, educational institutions and even organized marketplaces. These elements profoundly shape consumption patterns in both urban and rural settings. Now, learners, just consider this, that even if rural consumers have the financial capacity and the desire for modern products, the absence or unreliable availability of basic infrastructure can effectively make certain products irrelevant to them. This leads to fundamentally different consumption priorities. For instance, can you imagine the practicality of a sophisticated washing machine without a consistent supply of running water and electricity? The product's quality or usefulness becomes almost zero in such a scenario. So, a question now arises for you to ponder. How does the lack of reliable transportation in some rural areas directly impact the type of goods that are commonly purchased and sold here? The answer is that it often limits the availability of bulky or perishable goods, favoring smaller, more easily transportable items. Now, moving on to our next parameter, which is socio-cultural background. The distinct socio-cultural backgrounds and differing priorities in rural and urban markets necessitate the creation of specific promotional messages for each group. Daily life, influenced by diverse occupations and deeply rooted social and cultural norms, varies significantly. For example, urban consumers might be more willing to spend extra on products or services that offer increased comfort and convenience. perhaps to save time in their busy schedules. However, rural consumers who often highly value hard work and frugality might view such expenditures as unnecessary or even wasteful. This difference in values and how they live their lives directly affects how they see the benefits of a product and how effective different marketing messages will be. Here again, a thought provoking question arises. How might a marketer promoting a new food product tailor their message differently to appeal to the value of convenience for an urban consumer versus the emphasis on natural ingredients and traditional methods for a rural consumer? The urban message might highlight speed and ease of preparation, while the rural message might focus on the product's connection to local farming and its traditional wholesome qualities. Don't you agree, dear learners? Now, moving on to our next differentiating parameter, which is accessibility. Accessibility is another crucial factor that sets rural and urban markets apart. Reaching urban consumers is generally easier and more cost effective because they are concentrated in a smaller geographical area. This population density allows companies and their distribution networks to reach a large number of potential customers relatively easy and affordably. On the other hand, rural populations are often spread out and more diverse in their geographical distribution, making it much harder for businesses to serve this market with a standard distribution approach. Furthermore, while urban markets usually have well established distribution systems with warehouses, stockists, wholesalers, and retailers, rural markets often lack this organized infrastructure. In many cases, the local shopkeepers in rural areas themselves travel to urban centers to buy the products they then sell, highlighting the limitations in rural distribution networks. Let us consider this question, that what can be some innovative ways that companies can employ to overcome the challenge of reaching dispersed rural populations for product distribution and service. Some solutions include utilizing mobile distribution vans, partnering with local community leaders, or leveraging technology for direct to consumer models where feasible. Let us now discuss about the media reach and habits in rural and urban markets. The strategies for promoting products in rural markets must be very different from those used in urban areas. This is because there are significant differences in both media reach, which means who has access to which media, and media consumption habits, that is how people use different media between the two market segments. These variations are due to factors like literacy levels, ownership of electronic devices, access to electricity, and income levels in rural areas. As a result, marketers targeting rural audiences need to develop creative and relevant promotional strategies to effectively communicate their messages. For example, studies have shown that fewer women in rural areas watch television compared to urban areas, and the availability of satellite TV channels is also lower. Conversely, listening to the radio is often more common in rural areas than in urban settings. Learners, it's time again to think about this. If you were launching a new agricultural product aimed at rural farmers, which media channels would you prioritize for your advertising campaign and why? Come on, think. Okay, let me help you. Radio, local newspapers, agricultural fairs, and even public announcements through loudspeakers might be more effective than solely relying on television or digital advertising in many rural contexts. Is it not so? Coming to our next parameter of differentiation between urban and rural markets is rural sales promotion. While urban marketers use various sales promotion techniques effectively, the same methods often have limited success in rural markets due to the difficulty in reaching the rural consumer. Common urban tactics like buy one get one free offers, lucky draws and coupons, which are popular in cities, might not work as well in rural areas. This is often because of lower awareness about these promotions, logistical challenges in implementing them, and a preference among rural consumers for straightforward value. So, for this group, a more effective strategy might be like simply offering the product at the most competitive price possible, appealing to their inherent price sensitivity and desire for clear and direct value. So, learners, here's time for another thought provoking question for you. Instead of a complex coupon system, what kind of direct sales promotion might be more appealing and effective for rural consumers purchasing essential household goods? Well, offering a slightly larger quantity for the same price or a small immediately usable free sample might be more effective and easier to understand. Is it not so? What more ideas do you have? Do add it in your notes. Let us now examine the nature of competition as another differentiating parameter. The competitive landscape in rural markets has its own unique characteristics compared to urban areas. In a rural setting, a product like a popular soft drink might not only compete with other similar mass produced beverages but also with a wider range of locally available alternatives that rural consumers consider as equally good treats. These could include traditional drinks like lemonade made at home or cumin flavored water. Additionally, there are often many other locally sourced options, some of which might be free or of very low cost within the rural competitive environment. Marketers who wish to succeed in rural markets must thoroughly understand these potential competitors, which might not even exist in urban areas but hold significant influence in the rural context. Therefore, advertising campaigns and pricing strategies need to take these local competitive forces into account. Companies need to come up with creative ways to encourage consumers to choose their branded products over these easily available local alternatives. Now consider this mind-boggling scenario and suggest some ways. A company is trying to sell packaged snacks in a rural market where people commonly consume fresh, locally grown fruits and homemade snacks. What kind of promotional message could they use to encourage a shift towards their packaged product? Well, they might focus on the convenience, longer shelf life, or perhaps the added nutritional value or unique flavors that their packaged snacks offer compared to the readily available local options. Now, this is my opinion. What do you suggest, dear learners? Do give it a thought. Beyond these key parameters, there are several additional differentiating factors that contribute to the urban-rural divide in consumer behavior. Income levels generally tend to be lower in rural areas compared to urban centers, which naturally affects how much people can spend and what they can afford. However, it is important to remember that income levels in rural areas are indeed rising. Occupational patterns also differ significantly. In rural areas, a larger proportion of the population is involved in agriculture and related activities, while urban areas have a greater variety of jobs in industries like manufacturing and services. These different types of work shape the needs and priorities of consumers. Population density is another key difference, with urban areas being much more crowded than the often sparsely populated rural settlements, which impacts how products are distributed and how easily markets can be reached. Education and awareness levels can also vary, which can influence how quickly people adopt new products and how they respond to marketing messages. Decision-making processes might also differ, with rural purchase decisions potentially being more influenced by family or community members compared to the more individualistic decisions often seen in urban areas. While technology adoption is increasing in rural areas, it generally lags behind urban centers, affecting the effectiveness of digital marketing strategies. Finally, price sensitivity is often higher among rural consumers, making getting good value for their money a very important factor in their purchasing decisions. Learners, let us just think about considering all these additional factors of income, occupation, population density, education, technology adoption, and price sensitivity as to how might a company marketing a new mobile phone tailor its features and pricing strategy differently for a rural versus an urban consumer. Any suggestions? Well, let me help you with my opinion that for a rural consumer, they might focus on durability, a long lasting battery, ease of use, and a lower price point, while for an urban consumer, they might emphasize advanced features, sleek design, and brand image with perhaps a higher price being acceptable. Don't you agree with this? What is your opinion? Do give it a serious thought. Finally, we conclude today's video lecture with these words that while the aspirations and income levels in rural India are undoubtedly on the rise, the fundamental differences between urban and rural markets extend across a wide range of parameters. These include infrastructure, socio-cultural norms, accessibility, how people use media, the nature of competition, and various socio-economic factors. These distinctions highlight the critical need for businesses to have a deep understanding of each market segment and to develop specific marketing strategies that are tailored to the unique characteristics and preferences of both urban and rural consumers. Recognizing and effectively addressing these fundamental differences is absolutely essential for any business looking to successfully engage with and thrive in the diverse and dynamic Indian marketplace. Dear learners, we will pause here to meet you again in the upcoming second part of this video lecture on a comparative analysis of rural and urban markets, in which we will discuss about divergences in consumer behavior between rural and urban markets. Happy learning till then. Goodbye.